as a parent, especially as students get older into their sophomore, junior, senior year, they're not able to provide the same amount of support or feedback that they could as elementary students. They could be coming home with a foreign language that their parents had no knowledge of. If my daughter had come home and asked for that extra help in physics, I wouldn't have been able to help her in physics. And so I think the older you get as a student, the learning becomes more advanced. The instruction and the feedback needs to become more advanced, and you really need to provide a structure where those teachers who are experts are there to provide that. Because quite honestly, our homes and our parents and our families aren't able to support that.
I think it's a long overdue accommodation to significant shifts in the culture of what happens in homes, among families, given the competition for attention of youth around structured activities or technology. I really think that it's necessary that we find ways to accommodate what has been a structure that is not sufficiently responsive to what's going on in families. There isn't as much time. The culture of education and the language that we use to teach is changing all the time, and parents can't keep up with it. They will often not know how to help a student in something that they may have even been good at, like math, because math isn't being taught in the same way that it was when they were in school. So you've got a whole bunch of cultural accommodation going on and responses to change that is driven more in a much more accelerated pace by technology in part, and by the different ways that families live these days too. So I think it is overdue, and it's about time we caught up.
That was the core committee that Joe had mentioned quite a while ago, 12, 15 of us, somewhere in that ballpark. Initially it was set up as a model, and TASK was an acronym, and it stood for Teams in Academic Service Centers. And initially the intent was to have geographical locations in the school, and we would all share those common students. So that's why it was teams in service areas. We quickly found out that that model wasn't working for us because we really couldn't find a group of teachers that shared 111 kids. So students, and Ariana can probably speak to this, wanted to sign up for their teacher that wasn't in their pre-assigned core team. So we ended up modifying and tweaking TASK, which was the RTI model, so that kids could get the access that they needed from the teachers they wanted. So that was the name TASK, and it's now morphed into a much more robust model where kids can get access to anybody they want whenever they want.
I think one of the challenges with that transition for me as the principal was relinquishing some of that initial thought around teams working together. Certainly teams are still working together, it's just differently and it's not geographically located. What we quickly realized is that students really needed access to the teachers they were working with every day because they understood their strengths, they understood their weaknesses, and there was less communication that needed to take place or bog down the teachers as they were sharing that information from staff members.
And one fear you had was, I remember, you were worried that this group of kids, if we didn't do it in geographical centers, it would be utter chaos.
Right.
As these kids went all
They
over
would be
the
going
schools.
in every different direction, and so I had to admit I was wrong. But I think that was part of what was right, was I admitted I was wrong. This story of TASK started with a junior who was an honor roll student. She was excelling, she was an AB student, she was in the National Honor Society, and she approached me on a Tuesday morning and she asked if she could go get extra help during her advisory period on an upcoming physics test. Unfortunately, I needed to say no. I knew that advisory was structured in such a way that it wasn't to provide extra academic supports, and those teachers had specific advisory plans. And so my question to her was, well, how about after school? And she said, I play field hockey. And we have a field hockey tournament coming up in a couple weeks. I really can't miss practice. How about during lunch? Well, my lunch is different than my physics teacher's lunch, and she's got a class during that time. So really, there was no answer for her to get the extra time and supports, and all she wanted to do was excel on an upcoming physics test. That student is now at the University of New Hampshire doing really, really well. But the idea or the concept that this is just for students that are struggling, it actually started with quite different than that, with a student that wasn't, that was excelling. So it's for all students.
From a math teacher standpoint, and I think everyone will agree, the math teachers seem to have the most bookings, because that seems to be a struggle in probably most schools. We were finding that we couldn't get those students to see us on a regular basis because, as Ariana said, she has chorus, she has ocean. Whatever she's got going on, she might not have the time during the school day to seek out a teacher. So she would have to be trapped to canceling an after-school activity that she really wanted to participate in. So Task for Us served the need of getting access to those students that needed it, wanted it, and we made it available during the school day.
And we just decided as a faculty, as a staff, as a student body, that we were going to figure this out, that there had to be an answer. And thankfully, living in the 21st century, with technology advances where they're at, we were able to find and create a piece of software that would help to guide this and to organize this. It simply couldn't have been done 20 years ago, 25 years ago. There wasn't that capability. Now we have it. We feel like we found a tool and a model that doesn't have to be adopted exactly from school to school. Every school has slightly different resources. Every school is slightly different size. But the tool can be adopted and adapted to really any environment to meet the needs of all students.
Keep the elements of advisory that were positive, most importantly, the role of a mentor. Because students stay with the same task teacher for several years, if not all 4 years, that really allows the homeroom teacher to establish a relationship with the students that normally would not occur in high school. It's not like middle school, it's not like elementary school. It is much more diverse and much more dispersed as far as the academic institution is concerned. So it really allows students to connect with a mentor, and it really allows a mentor to connect with students over an extended period of time. I think that's a very important aspect of it, because we didn't want to throw out what was good about the advisory model with what was clearly not working for students or faculty alike.
What TASK provides for us is an opportunity for guidance counselors to meet with groups of students and deliver a curriculum that is being popularly demanded of most high schools in terms of career education, college applications, and all those kinds of things. In addition, I was supervising a couple of crisis counselors who had no inroads, once again, to work with kids in groups, such as an anger group or a group of kids that were new to the school, for example. They had no way to do that other than to take them out of class, which only caused them to miss more class, putting them more at risk. So this provided an opportunity for them to use their expertise targeted on students that had those kinds of issues. So that was huge for us.